As you know, this week's GTA Online update has some awesome money bonuses with the special cargo warehouse sell missions as well as exporting mixed goods. But today on the show, I have another episode of my free vehicles guide for you here. These are vehicles that you can jump into game right now for and potentially unlock both of them here today. The first one is an iconic muscle car that also has great customization options, and you can turn it either into your own classic or even have more of a modern rendition of this vehicle. And then the other is another off-roader, and an expensive one at that. And so if you don't have either of these just yet, getting both of these for $0 when they will cost you millions is not a bad deal at all. We're going to be checking out both of these today. I'll showcase to you guys how you can unlock them, as well as of course test out their performance on the track as well as off-road and see if these are actually worth their salt or not. So thank you guys so much for tuning into this video and supporting this series. Let's just jump right in here. So starting off, we'll talk about the Diamond Casino Podium vehicle this week, which is the Declassy Impaler SZ. Now normally it's available with a retail value of $1,280,000 from San Andreas Super Autos, and it released with the Chop Shop update drip feed. And typically when you hear Impala SS, you think of the 9-year production run of the 1961 to 1969 Super Sport models. Of course, we'll always love these early cars, but there's another Impala SS that developed its own cult following and certainly deserves some recognition here, and that is the 1994 to 1996 Chevrolet Impala SS that this Declassy Impaler SZ is primarily based on. The Impaler SZ is an awesome muscle car in this game. It packs some significant torque, and you can even spin the wheels upon takeoff if you want. And overall, I would say the top speed's pretty decent. You get good enough acceleration. The handling is going to be more stable than you'll find on typical muscle cars in this game, and that is thanks to the suspension system that this vehicle has. However, despite its heavy frame as well as overall durability, which is pretty good I would say, it does lack substantial resistance to incoming gunfire. The braking performance is going to be modest with this car. It's going to require more careful brake management for effective cornering, but overall, the Impaler SZ does offer a driving experience that I would say, if I were to compare it to anything, is going to be more similar to the Sabre Turbo or even the Declassy Tampa. But with this car, you get a slight trade-off in power for more enhanced cornering capabilities, in my opinion. So let's test it out. Here is the Declassy Impaler SZ, ladies and gentlemen. I went for a little bit, I don't even know kind of what style I was going for. There was a long time ago, I saw an article about an Impala SS. It was like I guess it was just a 96, but it looked very similar to this. It had the cowl hood and it had like black brakes, or excuse me, black rims that looked basically exactly the same as the ones I have on. The only difference is it didn't have like the silver lip to the rims themselves, which, I mean, I guess they can kind of go with this car. They also, maybe in a way, they take away from how it looks, but overall, like, the car looked awesome. And so I kind of wanted to style this very similar. It had, you know, a very small lip spoiler. This is maybe even a little bit more pronounced. You know, of course it had, I think, a much more interesting front bumper to it. Similar, but it had like headlights on the bottom corners of it. So it was a very, very nice Impala SS. So I wanted to kind of recreate that. I was looking at the brushed metal options, and I just didn't want it as shiny. I feel like this like matte urban gray, gunmetal gray looks pretty cool. So this is what we're rocking with right here. Let's take it to the track and let's see how we can place in terms of time. And by track, you know, I mean the usual. We go north, we go to the east, we come back south, then we start going east again. We go all the way around here, loop around, and we meet up at this intersection. As always, I will start my timer and we will get going. The usual with this is about, you know, 2 minutes 40, 2 minutes 50 seconds for a lot of cars we've been testing out so far in these vehicle guides for the week. I actually don't know where the Impaler SZ is going to place when it comes to this. I would say maybe this will be, I would guess about a 3-minute car. I feel like if we can get below 3 minutes, that'll be pretty solid. If we get above, then it's a little bit slower than I would necessarily want it to be. But overall, I was just really a fan of this actual styling for this Impala, and also like this generation of the Chevy Caprice as well, because, you know, I'm a big fan of that movie Godzilla, like the 1998 one, which, you know, many players like it was the Roland Emmerich film, the disaster film, so most people that are Godzilla fans would be like, that's the worst one ever made, right? But that was, I'm pretty sure that was my first Godzilla that I ever saw growing up. And so seeing like that Chevy Caprice taxi in the movie, you know, like driving away from Godzilla, you know, across the Brooklyn Bridge and everything, I always thought those scenes were like really cool. And so I just love the Chevy Caprice. I don't know why. I just love taxi cabs as a kid growing up, and so that was probably one of my favorites. And so seeing this car get added to the game, even though this is an Impala over a Chevy Caprice, is still really cool to see because it's basically the same exact body style. It's the same platform of vehicle, you know, just modified differently, different performance upgrades, different brakes, things like that. What is it in the Impala? Is it the LTI or just the LT1 engine? I think it is. That, and I'm pretty sure that this one that I saw in that article, it was so long ago that I saw, but I know the car looked pretty similar to this. I think that guy swapped it out for something else, and like he turned his 96 Impala SS into like a 700 or 750 horsepower monster. Like it was insane, you know. And obviously, he did have a bunch of other like bodywork modifications done to it with this, you know, kind of crazy hood and stuff like that. Which honestly, like, it's weird. I don't like this style of hood, but I think it works pretty well on this vehicle. So I do like it just on this vehicle, and this is a situation in which I find myself actually complimenting it really well. But overall, his car looked sick, and, you know, this is definitely an unassuming looking vehicle. You can make them really fast, right? There's a couple different companies in the US that do different restoration and stuff like that for these cars, and obviously have all sorts of different parts and things that you may want. If you own one, you're trying to make it really cool and make it a total aftermarket beast. Oh, we almost flipped right there. So you can tell this car isn't as top heavy as I wanted it to be. We didn't really get to talk about the performance much while I was driving. I've just been talking about like its real life counterpart because it's such an iconic car. But overall, you guys can see, I mean, the handling's been great, the acceleration, like this thing will get around a corner. There's not much understeer, there's no oversteer either. This car just sits right where it needs to be. And so far, we made great time. We're about to finish this right now. This is a 2-minute and 52-second car on this track. So 8 seconds below 3 minutes. I didn't think so. I thought it would be maybe quickest I thought would maybe be like 2:55, but probably more around 3:05. 2 minutes 52 seconds is fantastic for this Impaler SZ. Let's freaking go. I mean, this is a car from the 90s, guys, you know? And for this to handle this well on that sort of track, I love it. Here, this week's LS Car Meet prize ride is the Nagasaki Outlaw, and it's priced with a retail value of $1,268,000, but you can also get it for $951,000 with the trade price from San Andreas Super Autos. And this vehicle was introduced with the Diamond Casino Heist update in GTA Online. To claim the Outlaw this week, players must place top 5 in LS Car Meet Series races for 3 consecutive days in a row. And when it comes to this vehicle, you're gonna, of course, excel in off-road environments because you get that more rock crawler style suspension that's going to be tailored more for navigating rugged terrains, and you also get some pretty agile handling with this UTV. However, the top speed is going to be somewhat limited by a gear range of only 3 to 4 speeds, and even with full transmission upgrades here, those are going to hinder your performance in races against faster off-road vehicles over long stretches just because you have less gears to work through, and the susceptibility of your tires to gunfire makes, I would say, upgrading to bulletproof tires 100% necessary. Of course, the open cabin design as well is going to offer little protection against gunfire as well, but that's not really the purpose of this vehicle. Who's using this on missions, right? You're using this to take it off-road, and it has some great off-road heritage because the inspiration is kind of drawn from a mix of the Can-Am Maverick X3 Turbo, but you also get a little bit of Yamaha YXZ1000R buggy vibes here with this vehicle as well. So I want to do a quick test on-road and also see how it handles off-road to see if it's worth trying to unlock for free this week. And here is the Nagasaki Outlaw fully customized here, ladies and gentlemen. In terms of customization, there really isn't much you can do, but if you want like a little ATV and UTV style vehicle in this game, I have this in my dedicated off-roader garage. I think it'll get the job done, honestly. So let's take this over to the track. Let's see a little bit of its on-road performance. We'll also try off-road, water testing, as well as hill testing as well. So I'm not gonna time this. I just wanna see, you know, just a little bit on like windy roads, how this vehicle actually performs. I'm just gonna try and bomb it as fast as I can. You can see the turning radius. On-road performance, like this thing can't turn at all because it has, you know, tiny wheels, tiny tires. It's meant for off-roading. The top speed leaves a lot to be desired. Let's see the braking around here. Like, can we actually get around these turns without slamming into a wall? This is exactly the performance I would expect on the road from a vehicle like this. But like I said, you know, it's not meant for the road, obviously. So now let's take it off-road and let's just see how we can go around, you know, a little bit of a dirt trail like this, because this is kind of what this thing is meant for. You know, I'm sure there's probably a bunch of people watching who own, you know, Polaris Razors and things like that, and they can just whip those things around. Maybe you have like a super, super heavily modified one where, you know, you could do some pretty cool rock crawling with it and stuff. It seems like since we can't actually make these tires any bigger on here, you're not going to be able to crawl over like massive boulders and stuff. The ground clearance isn't that high. but it's still a pretty cool vehicle. So that's how it is on the road and off the road. Let's head on over to the water and see how this thing performs. So here we are once again. I mean, I'm not going to do any like crazy, super rigorous testing, but I just want to see like, are we even going to be able to get this thing? Okay, we just made it. I almost, like, if you go slow through the water, oh yeah, this car's going to crap out on me for sure. Oh, no, we made it through. Surprisingly, it can pull through the water, but you probably need to get some crazy speed for it. Otherwise, you know, you're just going to stop and stall. So can we go through again? This is pretty deep. Oh man, we are very close. We're probably like a second away from this thing stalling. So it can do pretty well right there, but this thing is light, you know? So make sure if you're gonna go through water, you have a lot of speed to carry you all the way across. And now I want to do one final test here on Mount Chiliad just to see what the uphill performance of this thing is like. As you sort of, you know, I'm not gonna go crazy fast because you're probably gonna flip. Not that this thing is super top heavy, but it's bouncy and it is tall, so you are very at risk of flipping if you're going super fast up hills like this. But honestly, the uphill performance is pretty nice on this as well. I gotta say, I'm quite satisfied with it. You get plenty of suspension travel. It can absorb all the bumps and things like that. And I'd say we're maintaining pretty good speed, but there you go. You can kind of see what happens if you allow yourself to tilt too much. You're just gonna flip over, which should be expected with a vehicle like this. But nonetheless, I mean, pretty good performance for going up Mount Chiliad. Not as good, not nearly as good as the classy Draugr that we talked about from the other week, when that was the podium vehicle. It wasn't the prize ride, but nonetheless, that is second best or maybe absolute best off-roader in the game, depending on if you like the Camacho more or less or not. But the Nagasaki Outlaw is definitely a pretty cool vehicle here in this game, and it is worth it, at least to unlock for $0. I don't know if I would recommend you spend the full price on it, but do the LS Car Meet Prize Ride Challenge to unlock it this week. Absolutely, that's worth it. That's gonna wrap everything up for today's video, though. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys did go on to enjoy this video, hopefully, you know, I earned your like on it. And of course, if you guys are new to the channel and you want to see more GTA Online content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. Also, if you guys are interested, I live stream GTA Online as well as Red Dead Online several times a week over on twitch.tv. Check me out over on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram. You can follow me at HazardousHDTV, and all of my links are listed below down in the description box. So again, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you guys all have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys for the next video tomorrow. Adios, amigos.